In this video, I am going to teach you how to write an equation for the given function if I give you the period, the phase shift, and the vertical shift. Here's the main piece of information that you're going to need in order to be able to do this. You have to know the period. Okay, and for these periodic functions that we're dealing with, there are two periods. Most of the functions have a period of 2 pi, but a couple of them have a period of pi. So basically, let's skip over to the ones that have a period of pi. Tangent and cotangent. Alright, those have a period of pi. They repeat after pi radians. The other four that we deal with, like sine and cosine, and then the reciprocal of these would be cosecant and secant. These all have a period of 2 pi. So keep that in the back of your mind. Furthermore, in all cases, if you want to calculate the period is equal to the normal period divided by the b value. So that means for sine and cosine and secant and cosecant, you will have this formula, 2 pi divided by the b value. Whereas for tangent and cotangent, you'll have this formula, pi divided by the b value. That's all you need to know. Everything else is like super straightforward. Okay, so for number 52, secant. I know that the period for a regular secant, the period is 2 pi. So for that reason, the formula goes like this. The period should equal 2 pi divided by the b value. So here they've given me that the period is 3 pi. So that means 3 pi is equal to 2 pi over the b value. And the easiest way to solve this is just to swap these out. Alright, you can do that. So the b is going to come over here, and the 3 pi is going to go in the bottom. And these pi's cancel each other out. So b is equal to 2/3. Alright, armed with that knowledge, I can go ahead and write my equation. So I have y is equal to, and they told us that it has to be the secant function, so we'll go ahead and do that. Now comes the b value, so I've got 2/3. Since the phase shift is 0, in other words, there is no phase shift, then I can just go ahead and put x. Since the vertical shift is 2, I will put plus 2. And there you go, that's the answer. Alright, let's do it again. Alright, for number 53, we're dealing with the tangent function. Alright, that means that the normal period is pi for the tangent function. So we will do pi over b. So they tell us that the period is pi over 2. So that means pi over 2 is equal to pi over b. I'm not going to like swap these because then I'll have a fraction inside of a fraction. Instead, in a case like this, I will cross multiply. So if I multiply along this diagonal, then I have pi b. Okay, along this diagonal, I have 2 pi. And then now if I divide both sides by pi, those cancel out, and these cancel out actually. So I have b is equal to 2. So if b is equal to 2, now I can go ahead and write my equation. So I have y is equal to tangent. Okay, now the b value is 2. So I'm going to go like this. But this time I have a phase shift. So I'm going to have this parentheses inside of parentheses. Since the phase shift is positive, that means in the equation I have to put minus because they're always opposites. So minus pi over 4. All right, close it all up. Notice, if you have a b value and a phase shift, you will have parentheses inside of parentheses. Don't resist it. And then the vertical shift is -1, so I'm just going to put a -1 on the end of it. And that's it. That's the equation. All right, let's do it again. I could do this all night long, 'cause I'm a beast. All right, so let's see, cosecant. Cosecant has a period of 2 pi. So that means that the actual period is going to be the regular period divided by b. All right, they told us that the period in this case is pi over 4. So that's going to equal 2 pi over b. Again, since I have a fraction and another fraction, I will cross multiply. So along this diagonal, I have pi b. And along this diagonal, I have 8 pi. All right, dividing both sides by pi. All right, pi cancels out on both sides. So b is equal to 8. Time to write the equation. Y is equal to cosecant. Now comes the b value, so I put 8. We do have a phase shift, so I'm going to need parentheses inside of parentheses. I see minus pi for the phase shift, so I'm going to have to put plus pi in the equation. They are always opposite. Anytime you have a b value and a phase shift, you will have parentheses inside of parentheses. Get used to it. There is no vertical shift, so I don't need a k value on the end like I had on the other two problems. That's the end for number 54. All right. Do I make it look easy, or is it just easy? I think it's just easy. Cotangent. Cotangent has a period of pi normally. Tangent and cotangent are the two that have and if there's no stretch or anything, the normal period is pi. So that means the actual period of this particular function is going to equal pi over b. Well, they told us that the period is 3 pi, so I have 3 pi is equal to pi over b. Since this is not a fraction, I find it easiest just to swap these two things because that's allowed. So I can put the b out here, and I put the 3 pi here. Now these pi's are going to cancel out. Now the answer will not be 3 though. See how this 3 is on the denominator? It's like there's an invisible 1 here. 1 pi. So when I cancel these pi's out, it leaves 1/3. So now I can write it. Do I have a phase shift? Yes. So get ready to have parentheses inside of parentheses. So I will have the cotangent, and then my b value, and then parentheses, and then I'll have x minus pi over 2. All right. The phase shift is always the opposite sign inside the equation. So a positive phase shift, you need to put x minus pi over 2. Vertical shift of positive 4, so I'll put a plus 4 on the end. All right, so that's it for number 55. One more, uno más. Okay, cosecant. Cosecant has a natural period of 2 pi. So that means the actual period of this function has to equal 2 pi divided by the b value. So in this case, they told us that the period is pi over 3. So that means pi over 3 must equal 2 pi divided by the b value. Since I have a fraction equal to another fraction, I will cross multiply. Along this diagonal, I have pi b. Along this diagonal, I have 6 pi. To get b by itself, I divide both sides by pi. And then the pi's will cancel. So I just have b is equal to 6. Alright, by now you've seen over and over again the b value goes right here, just inside the parentheses. So I will say y is equal to cosecant. Let's see, is there a phase shift? Yes. So I'm going to have parentheses inside of parentheses. So first my b value happens, and then I put another set of parentheses, and I have to put x. This is minus pi over 2, so I have to put plus pi over 2, because they're always opposites in the equation. Alright, close that parentheses, and then close the wider parentheses. Since there's a vertical shift of -3, I'm going to put a -3 on the end of that. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful. I will see you on the next video.